This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. The 1998 American League Championship Series. Today, it's Game 5, the New York Yankees versus the Cleveland Indians.
This is what October baseball should look and feel like. 62 degrees at Jacobs Field as game time approaches. David Wells against Chad O.J. in Game 5. Wells 18-4 for the year, 2-0 in this postseason, 6-1 lifetime in postseason baseball against Chad O.J., who had 3 stints on the disabled list this year, was just 5-4. But remember, last year he won 2 games in the World Series. Garrett Wright bombed in Game 1. O.J. takes his start. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. This, of course, is Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. Now, Joe, you think that the Yankees didn't just get even in Game 4. They actually took the edge in the series.
Well, you're right, Bob. I believe that momentum is dictated by the starting pitchers on any particular day. And to that end, they have a big edge because David Wells has been almost unbeatable in his last couple of outings. But they got 2 great things happen to them yesterday. One, El Duque came through, pitched great, and that gives Joe Torre other options if he wants to go to Game 7. Now, the other thing that happened was they got some hitting from Paul O'Neill and Chili Davis to drive in runs. But the biggest hit of the night, I think, came from Tino Martinez because it broke an 0 for 14 spell for him, and they know that they're going to need him if they're going to go farther in this series and even into the World Series. So he's going to give them some consistency in driving in runs.
Of course, we don't want to sell O.J. short.
Well, you're right, because when he took over for Garrett Wright in Game 1, he pitched magnificently, and if he can pick up right where he left off, I think it can be a good game today.
Now, there are some changes in Cleveland's lineup. David Justice will not be in there. And for the other changes, we go downstairs to Keith Olbermann. Keith.
Bob, Sandy Alomar will not catch for the Cleveland Indians today. He has been replaced in the lineup by the rookie Enar Diaz. He did not hit today. He's in fact getting stimulation, electrical stimulation for back spasms. Mike Hargrove, how does that change things for your Indians team and your pitcher Chad O.J.?
Well, it really doesn't change much. We'll help Enar a little bit, maybe call some pitches from the bench, but not very often. We'll let Enar do his job, call his game. Chad O.J. likes to call his own game, so it won't change things much in that regard.
Any idea about Alomar for the rest of the series?
Well, Keith, I think I think he'll be okay come Tuesday. It's something that happened last night. It really been bothering him, I guess, for about 4 or 5 days. It tightened up on him in the second inning and only got worse. Showed up this morning and it hadn't relented at all. So we decided to go ahead and make the move, get Sandy the day off as much as we can, and see if that doesn't help Tuesday.
Mike, thanks very much.
You bet.
Over to the Yankee dugout, Jim Gray. Jim.
Thanks, Keith. Yesterday, for the first time all season, the Yankees were tested in a must-win situation. Were you a little bit nervous about how your team might respond?
Well, I'm always very nervous after we lose. During the season, even when we had the big lead, you hate to let a losing streak go on. And in postseason, it's death, basically, because you lose a few games and you're out of it. I was not surprised. We've been able to bounce back. We've been able to challenge ourselves. We've been able to respond to challenges, and last night was perfect. And it's based on our starting pitching, and El Duque was right there.
And he gave the team a lot of confidence. You told the team before the game to have fun. And what was the response in the clubhouse?
Sometimes I know managers have meetings just for themselves, okay? And O'Neill come up to me and he says, Skip, I know you want us to have fun, he says, but it's not fun unless you win.
But you're laughing. You're having a good time.
I am today. It's a little less, stressful today than it was yesterday.
Joe, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Upstairs to you, Bob.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. We'll take a look at Joe Torre's lineup and Mike Hargrove's. Cleveland's has really been shuffled around. We'll get to that and have the game's first pitch, Game 5, right around the corner from the Jake after this.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show.
Shadows covering part of Jacobs Field, and here's the lineup put together by the Yankees for Game 5. Not too many changes, except Raines is in left field. Davis again is in the 5th slot, and Martinez remains 6th as he was last night. Ernie Williams, completely shut down in the division series against Texas, has hit the ball much better in the LCS. Chad O.J. had 3 different stints on the disabled list this year. Actually made as many starts at their AAA affiliate Buffalo as he did in the major leagues. But remember, last year he was on the DL for a long stretch with an injured elbow and came back in September to pitch well in the postseason, including 2 World Series wins.
And the defense behind O.J. will have Diaz's first career postseason start. He's taking over for Sandy Alomar Jr.
Witten is in left field, Thome is DHing, and Sexton is at first base with David Justice out of the lineup. OJ's first pitch to Knobloch is on the inside corner for a called strike. Tim Welke has the plate. Jim McKean at first. Crew chief Jim Evans at second. Ted Hendry at third. John Shulock left field line. Larry Young, last night's plate umpire, calls the plays in right. Curveball in for a strike.
Well, in game one, when he took over for Jarrett Wright, OJ had excellent control of his pitches, and he kept the ball down. He did not get hurt until he tired late in the ball game, and he gave up a home run to Posada. So far, he's been able to get both pitches over and keep them down.
The 0-2 pitch hits Knobloch. He was hit by 18 pitches this year, most in the American League. And behind on the count 0-2, that's a gift.
Well, it was supposed to be a waste pitch inside so he could come back with a curveball away, but the ball gets away from him, and Knobloch is hit on the arm. Pitch way off the plate inside.
How much of a factor is the sun early in this game?
Well, it's a factor in that the center field is in all sunshine, and there are spots of sunshine across the infield, so that does cause you a few problems early in the game.
Jeter cuts and misses.
Well, that's the good curveball that OJ throws, and he has his other excellent pitch is the straight changeup. Those are his two out pitches.
OJ came out of the bullpen after Jarrett Wright was shelled in game one and worked 5 1/3, threw very well. Oh, 2.
Well, he's going a little opposite of how they've pitched Jeter so far in this ball game, but he has a good changeup and a good curve. He must keep the fastball down is the way he's done it, and he also has to stay away from the hitters. He's done that well also here against Jeter.
Fastball high and away.
Interesting there, he chose to waste the fastball away this time. He tried to waste the fastball in, and he hit Knobloch, so he says, I'm not going to do that again. He goes away with the fastball.
The 1-2 pitch. And the count levels. What a strange season for OJ. Just 5 4. His ERA nearly 6. 3 stints on the disabled list, and he wasn't even on their roster for the division series against Boston. But with his strong performance in game 1, coupled with Jarrett Wright's 0-2 postseason record, he gets the ball against Wells in game 5. And a called strike 3.
That's a good pitch there by OJ because Jeter was looking for a breaking ball away. Throws him 1 breaking ball, 2 breaking balls, gets ahead, he wastes the fastball away, comes back inside with a curve that hangs. Now he comes with a fastball. Good pitch. He changed speeds well, and he caught Jeter looking for something away.
Neither Jeter nor Knobloch at the top of the Yankee order has hit much in the postseason. Knobloch, who stole 31 for the year, hasn't even attempted a steal in the playoffs yet. O'Neill had a first inning homer off Gooden last night.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Bernie Williams is hitting 300 in this series, but really not a big productive 300. None of these guys are really producing runs. Paul O'Neill comes closest to being on his normal pace.
The Yankees won last night, of course, but most of the credit goes to El Duque and the O'Neill home run. Apart from that, they didn't exactly tear the cover off the ball, and their postseason hitting slump, for the most part, continues. He was the man last night, Orlando Hernandez. A ball and a strike. You can tell that this guy thrives in a big game atmosphere. Today is his birthday. He says it's his 29th. We talked about it last night. Others think it might be his 32nd or 33rd. Maybe 29 is to him what 39 was to Jack Benny. He just stays there and continually celebrates it. There goes Knobloch, and the pitch is foul to the seats.
I don't really think that was a hit and run. I think that was a straight steal because of the way Knobloch took off, and he was really concentrating on second base. But O'Neill found a pitch that he thought he could handle, and he fouled it back. Let's see how good a jump he has. Not a great jump, just an average jump. And you see, he did not look back. That tells you that that's a straight steal if you do not look back at the catcher.
Knobloch steals exactly half of what they were a year ago in Minnesota. Not running. And a bouncing ball deflected by O.J. and into the outfield it goes. That was going to be a double play. Instead, the Yankees have runners at the corners with one out. Vizquel was moving into perfect position to field that ball and complete an easy double play had O.J. not deflected it.
It is difficult for a pitcher not to try to make the catch when the ball's hit back to him. But this is a chopper. It's not a hard hit ground ball. And it was going to be a double play because Vizquel was going to be able to probably take it by himself. Ball rolls into the outfield. Good hustle by Knobloch as he goes to third base.
And up steps Bernie Williams. The Indians have made a habit of falling behind in the first inning in the playoffs.
Not a good idea with David Wells on the mound.
What an inning, Mike Hargrove saying to himself. Ahead of Knobloch, 0-2, hit by a pitch. Double play ball turns into a hit. Now ball one to Williams. In the dirt, and Diaz comes up with it.
Nice play there by Diaz to keep that ball in front of him and then blocking the advancement for the runner. Watch, this ball hits right about home plate. It's on home plate, and he makes a nice scoop there.
Sandy Alomar hasn't hit much, but obviously he's an experienced receiver and good defensive player. The reports on Diaz are good, but he's just a rookie. 3-0.
Well, this is a 3-0 situation that Joe Torre will probably let Bernie Williams go ahead and swing if he gets a pitch he likes.
And he does swing on the 3-0 pitch and rolls it foul.
The pitch was up, so he felt like he could drive it. Had a little sink on it, so he got over the top of it, but at least he made him throw a pitch in the middle of the plate. This is a good pitch to handle. Fastball in the middle of the plate. Look at that right there. He just tries to pull it, and he gets out in front a little bit. You have to swing your way out of a slump. You have to hit your way out. You can't really just take a walk here and there and think you're going to come out of a slump. I think that's why Joe Torre allowed him to hit 3-0 to try to get this Yankee offense jump started here in the first inning.
3-1 pitch. Cut on and missed with O'Neill running. They throw the hit Knobloch. He's safe at third.
Well, in the first game in New York, they ran with runners at first and third, and they didn't throw any place. This is better. At least he throws down the third to try to get Knobloch. Just holding it as they did last time didn't really accomplish anything.
But O'Neill steals second
and eliminates the double play ground ball now.
And creates a spot where a single could score 2. O.J. steps off. This is shaping up as a potentially ugly inning for O.J. and the Indians. Knobloch hit on an 0-2 pitch. Double play ball get into a single. A stolen base. And the 3-2 pitch. They're loaded. Williams, who walked 3 times last night, gets a free pass here in the first. Here's why Chad O.J. is starting in Game 5 instead of Jarrett Wright. The Yankees jumped all over the 22-year-old right-hander with 5 first-inning runs. So Wright, who was 3-0 in last year's postseason, is 0-2 this time round. O.J., meanwhile, eventually came out of the bullpen to throw 5+ strong innings and earn today's assignment. Wright would be the first man out of the bullpen if Hargrove has to go to the pen early in the game. Chili Davis. Ball 1 to him. Chili has 7 career grand slams. In last year's division series against the Yankees in this ballpark, O.J. yielded a grand slam to the man who's now at second base, Paul O'Neill. There hasn't been a ball hit hard in this top half of the first, but the Yankees have the bases juiced. A ball and a strike.
Well, so far in this game, the Yankees are really forcing O.J. to throw strikes. They're not chasing pitches out of the strike zone. They're being more patient. And they're keeping pressure on him because they're not swinging at a lot of pitches out of the zone. He knows right here he has to give Chili Davis a pitch to hit because he's not going to swing at that sinker in the dirt.
High and away, 2-1. Knobloch at third. O'Neill at second. Williams at first with 1 down. How big is this pitch on 2-1?
Well, Chili's looking for a pitch in the zone right here that he can drive.
Did he find it? He slams it past Sexton for a base hit. Knobloch comes home. O'Neill scores. Williams to third. 2-0 New York.
And that's what happens when you have to pitch from behind against veteran hitters. They make you give them a pitch to hit. Chili's looking for a fastball up in the zone or something he could drive, and he pulls it in the hole to drive into. There it is, fastball up, and he rips it right in the hole for a base hit. Sexton makes a dive, but he can't come up with it off his glove. And here's the Yankee bench. As they see that ball go into the outfield, they know, hey, we got 2 more coming home. And one thing the Yankees want to do, they want to show some offense. They want to score some runs. They don't want to rely on David Wells going out to beat somebody 2-0. They want to score some runs. They want to put this high-powered Yankee offense into gear because you have to score some runs. You can't always depend on your pitchers just to beat the other team. Plus, it's more fun to play that way.
Another little move made by Joe Torre has paid big dividends. He inserted Chili Davis in the 5th slot and dropped Martinez 1 place to 6th last night. Davis had an RBI double in Game 4, a 2-run single here in the first inning of Game 5, and Martinez comes up in an RBI spot, but with less pressure than if he had been the hitter with the bases loaded and no score. Now he has a chance to build on the double he hit in his last at-bat in Game 4, his only hit of this series. And it gets away from Diaz.
No, it hit him.
Well, it hit Martinez, you're right.
Yeah, it hit
Williams
Martinez.
was trotting home, but the ruling is hit by pitch, so the bases will be loaded.
Well, the Indians get a break there because it was going to be a wild pitch, but Martinez's leg gets in the way, which saves him.
It just nicks his foot. Diaz didn't realize it at first and chased after the ball.
Yeah, but it hit him on the back foot. Right there, you can see it change directions. It definitely hit him.
The second hit batter of the inning. Bases loaded again, this time for Raines. Tim is 1 for 6 in this series with 4 strikeouts. On the corner. And Garrett Wright is up. So the roles could be reversed from Game 1. Hargrove hopes not. Wiley, the pitching coach, hoping that O.J. can weather the storm in the first.
Well, what's happening is, you know, Mike Hargrove said they were going to help Diaz out behind the plate and calling pitches, but O.J. calls his own game basically, and that's why it's taking so long here. He's decided he doesn't want to throw what they want him to throw.
0-2 to Raines.
And I think if you're a veteran pitcher like O.J., you have to have confidence in the pitch that you want to throw in these situations. So you have to decide what pitch is best, because you don't make a great commitment if you don't believe in the pitch. And with the bases loaded, you have to be committed to making the right pitch.
Breaking ball down and in. If O.J. had not deflected O'Neill's bouncer, he'd be sitting in the dugout watching his teammates hit already.
It's a game of inches. The ball would have gotten over his glove. It would have been a double play. But
here's a slow bouncer. The play is at first as a run scores. They had no chance to turn 2. Wilson throws Raines out. Williams crosses. 3-0 New York.
The catcher, number 20,
Hey, let's go, George. Come on, George. Hi, George. Hi, George.
Now O.J. faces Posada, who homered against him at Yankee Stadium in Game 1. Ball 1 outside. Tap foul at the plate. Chili Davis is the runner at third. You see that Posada wears that protective guard on his right leg. Davis at third. Martinez at second. Posada at the plate with 2 out and 3 runs home in the Yankee first. Meanwhile, David Wells has been just about untouchable in this postseason, and he'll work with at least a 3-0 lead.
Oh, at first base open, O.J. is going to be very careful with Posada, because the right-handed hitter Brocious is on deck. 30 pitches here in the first inning.
3 balls and a strike. There's been 1 ball hit hard in this inning. The sharp single by Chili Davis that scored 2. There have been 2 hit batters, a walk, a slow roller that scored a run. And the bases are loaded. On the second walk of the inning, Brocious will be the 9th man to bat in the New York first.
Well, as Jared Wright continues to throw, they've had 2 hit batsmen and 2 bases on balls in this inning.
Hargrove might not be as quick to hook O.J. as he was Wright in game 1 because O.J. hasn't been hit hard and because Wright's own recent history isn't all that great. Brocious swings and misses.
Smart pitch by O.J. Knows Brocious feels like he's going to get a first pitch fastball, so he starts him with a changeup, and Brocious was way out in front.
Strike 2. Brocious was the first man O.J. faced when he came out of the bullpen at Yankee Stadium in game 1, and Scott greeted him with an RBI hit. Still 0-2. Brocious, a 300 hitter for the regular season, productive in the postseason until the last couple of games. Curveball just missed.
Tough pitch to take if you're Brocious because you see it's a breaking ball and you just do not know how much it's going to break. If it breaks another couple of inches, it gets the inside corner.
And he threw the fastball by him upstairs. The Yankees score 3, leave 3, and up come the Indians in the first. Cleveland's lineup for game 5. Lofton and Vizquel as usual up top. Fryman moves to the number 3 spot. Ramirez, who homered off Wells in game 1, remains the cleanup man. Witten up to 5th. He's in left field. Tomey DHs. Sexton plays in the field and hits 7th. Diaz and Wilson at the bottom. So the last 3 hitters for this LCS game, the 7, 8, and 9 guys, are guys who spent at least part of the season in the minor leagues.
David Wells features a fastball, a good fastball that he spots very well, moves it around, and if his curveball is working, that's when he pitches low hit ball games. Here's the defense. Tim Raines starts in left field today, 1 error in 47 games this year, but you know, he has a chronic right knee, and every once in a while it acts up on him. That's one of the reasons he doesn't steal as many bases as he did before, and he's just not running quite as well as he did before.
All the shuffling in the Cleveland lineup triggered by the absence of David Justice and Sandy Alomar.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I know Alomar is just in such bad shape he couldn't play. I really thought Justice would play today. I mean, because when you take 2 guys out, it really hurts your lineup. You know, if you take Sandy Alomar Jr. out and Justice was able to play, or Justice is in there, it would soften the blow. And he does fit in this lineup. He has a spot that he could fit today that would really help the Cleveland Indians. So I am surprised that he's not playing.
Ball 2 to Lofton. The word on Justice is that he wasn't benched because of any after effects from having been hit by a pitch last night. He simply hasn't been swinging the bat well against left-handed pitching of late. And he and Hargrove jointly decided that he would sit this one out. Obviously, the final decision belongs to Hargrove, but Justice indicated to him that he felt he wasn't swinging the bat well against lefties.
Well, there's his numbers against Wells, but David Justice has always been one of the best hitters in baseball, and you can hit anybody on any given day. So the fact that you have not had success against a pitcher doesn't mean that you can't have some on this particular day. Maybe David Wells won't have his best stuff today, or maybe he will not be able to spot his pitches as well. I think David Justice offers a threat that helps the Indians just with his presence in the lineup.
The 3-1 pitch to Lofton. A drive down the right field line, into the corner and gone. Partly responsible for that home run. You fall behind a guy like Lofton 3-0 and then 3-1. Even though you're up 3-0, you know that the Indians are trying to get something going, and Lofton's that kind of player. You don't want to walk him, and maybe the pitch is fatter than it otherwise would be, and Lofton jumps on it.
Well, what happens is we didn't see this from David Wells the entire first game, falling behind hitters. He fell behind and he gave him a fastball. It's off the plate inside, actually. But Lofton is bailing just enough that he can get the barrel of the bat out there and keep it fair.
Vizquel now knocks one through the box, and the Indians show plenty of life in the bottom of the first.
Well, Vizquel's bat has been alive the last couple of ball games, and he's actually the leading hitter for the Indians. But what he does from the right side, he just kind of puts the barrel of the bat on the ball. Watch, he doesn't overswing. All he tries to do is lay the bat on the ball right there. Look at that. Beautiful little swing for the middle infielder. That's the way middle infielders are supposed to swing. Just get little base hits, ground the ball back through the middle.
Vizquel is now 7 for his last 9. And just like that, the Indians bring the tying run to the plate. Against the Indians, Wells had a shutout until the 9th. Today he had a shutout until the first hitter. Wells facing his former Detroit Tiger teammate Travis Fryman, who hit 28 home runs this year. Hit sharply and by the diving Jeter. Vizquel around second. He'll stop there. 3 straight hits off Wells.
Something happened on that ball to Jeter's footing because he did not get a good jump on that ball. Unless he was anticipating the ball being pulled to his right, and he had a false step, but he did not get a good jump on that ball. It wasn't hit that far from him. We'll see how he breaks late. He did not move until that ball is halfway towards him. The ball just wasn't that far from Jeter. And he either didn't pick it up off the bat quick enough, or he was leaning the wrong way, because that ball was not that far away.
Now Wells faces Ramirez. And the last pitch he threw to Manny was knocked out of the park at Yankee Stadium. That's in there. Ramirez has 2 home runs in this series. Also had 2 against the Red Sox in round 1. The 0-1 pitch. Mark Whitten is on deck. The 0-2 pitch. Vizquel breaks for third. The ball gets away from Posada. Vizquel pops back up, but he'll hold. And trailing the play, Fryman takes second.
Good heads-up base running by Vizquel. He breaks for third base, gets a great jump. Breaking ball in the dirt. Posada tried to stop it, but he couldn't. What he did was time David Wells, and he just took off at third base, and he was going to beat it. But as the ball bounces away, he doesn't have enough. See, he got a great jump, but he doesn't have enough time to get up and come home anyway. He dove into third base, but he wouldn't have had time even if he would not have been lying flat at third base.
Stolen base for Vizquel. Fryman to second on the wild pitch.
Correct call. Fryman didn't break with him.
And now Manny lifts one to right center. Vizquel back to tag. O'Neill with the catch. Vizquel heading home. The throw is to third. And the Indians are right back in it. Had a long top half of the first. Could that have had any effect on David Wells?
Well, I watched it very closely, Bob. When he came out to throw pitches, he had plenty of time to throw enough pitches. In fact, he cut his warm-up short. So if it bothered him, he didn't think it was bothering him, and he felt like he was loose when it started, because he could have thrown a couple more pitches if he would have wanted to.
Now Mark Whitten taking a ball. He had a double and a homer, batting right-handed in Game 3. And there goes Fryman, and he's in there at third. How aggressive are these Indians?
Well, first, it's very easy to steal third base off of a left-handed pitcher, and David Wells has a slow, deliberate motion to the plate. See, you can run while he's winding up technically, so you always can get a great jump from second base. And the other problem is for a left-handed pitcher, he cannot turn and pick you off, because when he turns, he sees you first instead of the shortstop who he's throwing to, so it's tough for him to pick you off.
Yanks pull the infield in. One's outside, 2-1 to Whitten. A perfect throw by Posada might have gotten Fryman, but it was worth the risk.
I definitely thought that he had it stolen. You know, it was going to take a perfect throw, as you're saying.
2-2.
And it's interesting that with one out and a 3-2 lead, Joe Torres decided, hey, I'm not going to give up any more runs without them earning it. He's not playing the infield back. You know, in a lot of places you play the infield back because you want to cut down on the big inning, but he's saying, no, I'm not going to give them a tie.
And Whitten fans, big strikeout for Wells.
Beautiful pitch there from David Wells. He wants to make Whitten hit something off speed. You see, he throws 2 straight curveballs, fastball away, fastball in for strike 2, and then he comes back. That is a beautiful curveball right there. Starts in the strike zone and breaks out. That pitch is very tough to hit.
Tomey taking ball one.
This is a situation here, 3 balls, no strikes. I would let Tomey hit. Richie Sexson is following. He's a right-handed hitter, but he has not swung the bat well in postseason. And if you can give Jim Tomey a cripple, he can help you out right here.
He swings on the 3-0 pitch and fouls it off.
David Wells did not fall behind many hitters in the first ball game. He was always ahead, 1-0. You know, 1 strike, no balls, 2 strikes, no balls. He was always ahead. Now he's pitching from behind a lot.
He walks Tomey. It brings up Sexson, a right-handed hitter, but a slumping hitter. Richie hit .310 for the year, but he's just 1 for his last 22. Dating to the late stages of the regular season. Stottlemyre to the mound.
And I think if he's going out there for one thing is to try to tell David Wells, you're continuing to miss with the first pitch. And any pitching coach will tell you the best pitch in baseball is strike 1, not the fastball or the curveball, but strike 1 is the best pitch that you can throw.
David Wells had the best control of any starting pitcher in the American League this year, averaging barely over 1 walk for a full game. Knowing that Jim Tomey hit 2 home runs off a left-hander, Andy Pettitte, only a couple of nights ago, and that Richie Sexson went 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts against Wells in Game 1, he didn't exactly walk Tomey intentionally, but he pitched very carefully to him.
Well, but the one thing that I'm noticing, not so much the walks, but he is not hitting the spots as he was the first game, and he is falling behind. But I agree with you on Tomey.
Strike 1 to Sexson. A masterful performance in Game 1.
Only 114 pitches in 8 1/3 innings that night. But the key there was he was just ahead, he was hitting the corners, and he had the hitters off balance.
The 0-1 pitch fouled back.
That's what David Wells does so well right there. He started a curveball up and it broke down for a strike. He starts the fastball the same spot he started a curveball, and you go up to get it and you just can't handle that high fastball.
Strike one was the story of Game 1 for Wells. Not so far in this one. Strike 3, though, helps a lot. His second strikeout of the inning. But the Indians bounce back with 2 in their half of the first. Off to a great start in Cleveland.
The official card of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime. And by American Airlines, something special in the air.
Naturally, the Goodyear blimp is floating overhead at Jacobs Field. In 1998, the Spirit of Akron is proud to be part of the 100th anniversary celebration of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. On to the second. Knobloch hit by a pitch to start the 3-run Yankee first. Turns away from one here. A ball and a strike. Checking the scoreboard. Early finals from around the National Football League today. Winless Carolina gave Dallas a scare. 2 balls and a strike. Falls behind Knobloch.
Well, he's making a conscious effort to pitch him inside, and that's after he hit him in the first inning.
Here's the 3-1. He walks him.
Bob, I mentioned this in the game 1, and that is that sometimes when you come in as a reliever, I mean, you're already relaxed because you weren't the starter and you're already down. Now when you start the ball game, there is some nervousness. I mean, whether you're David Wells or Chad O.J., everyone has some nervousness in the first inning as a pitcher. So the quicker you're able to relax, the better off you're going to be as a pitcher. And O.J., I thought, would be relaxed here in the second inning, but he doesn't seem to be so yet.
Jeter drops a bunt. O.J.'s on it. His play is to first. And the sacrifice works. Both clubs continue to play very aggressive baseball.
I didn't think that he was actually sacrificing his body. Right, he was bunting for a base hit. But what happens is if you do not get the base hit, you move the runner up anyway.
Sure.
See, he doesn't square around. He's trying to drop this down the third baseline for a base hit. So he accomplishes the sacrifice if he's out, as he is, but he's trying to beat it out so that they have runners at first and second. So he's not just giving himself up. And as you said, that's an aggressive play. That's not a sacrifice play.
O'Neill had a first inning single. Now he drops one into right. It falls in front of Ramirez. On his way home is Knobloch. Manny has a strong arm, but Knobloch scores.
So you see what Jeter did pays off in a run.
A soft single to right by O'Neill makes it 4-2 New York.
Well, O.J. makes a pretty good pitch. You have to give the hitter credit here. It's a good pitch. It's a changeup, and it's moving down and away from O'Neill. He flips it into right field. Ramirez comes up firing, but it's offline, and Knobloch's able to score.
So his teammates got O.J. back in the game with 2 in the bottom of the first, but the Yankees tack another one on immediately in the second. Williams takes ball 1. Long postseason drought for Bernie, as we've detailed earlier, dating to the 1996 World Series. After a torrid start to his career in postseason play, and now he's back up over 300. A liner to right, hooking into the corner, and a foul ball. But as you noted, Joe, while he is hitting over 300 in this series, it's not a hard 300. He's not punishing the Indians, at least not yet. Jared Wright gets back up as O.J. runs into second inning difficulties. Hit toward the hole and through. O'Neill to second, thinking about third. Here's Ramirez's throw, not in time.
Good aggressive base running by Paul O'Neill. He made up his mind right away on that ground ball to the right side that he was going to third base. So the Yankees are doing all the things that they're supposed to do, all the little things that add up to runs. Now watch, he makes up his mind right there, and he never slows down. Ramirez comes up and makes a throw, pretty good throw, actually, but no chance to get O'Neill. O'Neill says, I'm going to third base. Good hustle, and he knows that it has to be a perfect throw. It is a good throw, but he beats it. Ramirez comes up and fires a strike. The good thing that Ramirez did is he kept the throw down so that Vizquel could cut it if Bernie Williams tried to advance to second base.
And that's it for O.J. The roles are reversed. This time it's O.J. knocked out early and relieved by Wright. In last year's World Series, Chad O.J. not only won 2 games, he beat Kevin Brown twice. The Yankees make very quick work of him here in Game 5.
Well, I don't think he was ever able to relax out there on the mound, and that's what a pitcher needs to do. I thought after he got out of the first inning, okay, and they bounced back, he would be able to relax, but I don't think he ever relaxed in this ball game.
This is Jarrett Wright's first career appearance out of the bullpen. Chili Davis bounces it toward Vizquel. He barehands to get one. On to first. Double play. Press that one into the Omar Vizquel scrapbook. Wow.
Well, when he backed up and took it on the big hop, I thought he had lost the double play, but he had a game plan. See, when you wait on the ball at shortstop, normally you'll lose the double play, but he gets rid of it so quickly that he's able to make the double play. And this is routine for him. He feels as comfortable making that play as most players do with the glove. I've seen him make plays up the middle with a bare hand, all different ways, and Chili Davis knows that he made a mistake. Well, he made a mistake swinging at that first pitch that Jarrett Wright threw. Good sinker. Jarrett Wright makes one good pitch and gets out of the inning with the help of Omar Vizquel and Enrique Wilson.
And Vizquel's play cost the Yankees a run. If they don't turn 2 there, the Yankees are up 5-2.
Well, I've seen him make a play like that barehanded behind second base to save a no-hitter once. And I mean, I just couldn't believe that he had that much confidence in himself at that time to try it. But he definitely, I've talked to him, and he feels just as comfortable catching the ball without a glove as he does with it. I mean, that was unbelievable there. To take a chance like that in that type of situation tells you how much confidence he had. But I told you the other day, I've watched him play for the last couple of years. I mean, there's not 1 ounce of fear in this guy's body. And it's amazing. He just thinks he can do anything he wants out there in the field.
And he's right, apparently. Foul ball off Diaz's bat. No coach ever instructed a player to play a ball like that.
No, I mean, you know, they tell you to catch everything with 2 hands, use the glove, and transfer it quickly and get the ball to second base. But that's what a great player is all about. He finds his own ways to shortcut. He makes his own shortcuts. He makes his own ways of making a play. There are a lot of different things you can do around the bag to speed up your delivery to the second baseman or the shortstop.
He has what Ozzie had. Not just skill, but style and flair that makes the game so much fun to watch. There goes Diaz's bat, sailing over the dugout as he strikes out. Apparently nobody hurt by it. They let you keep a baseball. They usually ask for a bat back and give you something in exchange. Guy in the Indians jersey apparently ready to negotiate.
Well, he swung at 2 low breaking curveballs in the dirt and trying to extend. That's when you let the bat go, is when you try to extend to keep the bat there a little longer.
Enrique Wilson slams one at Brocious, but Scott's right in front of it. That's the second out in the Cleveland second. And you can go in depth on every game of baseball's postseason at MSNBCSports.com. Comprehensive total casts feature pitch-by-pitch updates and real-time box scores. Plus, there's incisive reporting by the Sporting News and live video coverage of the post-game press conferences, all at MSNBCSports.com. Lofton hit a 3-1 pitch from Wells just inside the foul pole and right for a leadoff homer in the first. That's strike 1.
Early in the series, Lofton was hitting the ball hard, but he was also hitting it in the air then to center field in Yankee Stadium. And he's continued to hit the ball in the air. Hit a home run his last time up, but that's not Kenny Lofton.
Strike 2. Unlike the first inning, David Wells has thrown a first pitch strike to all 3 Cleveland hitters in the second.
It makes a big difference in his pitching pattern. But if you're the Indians, you want Kenny Lofton hitting line drives and some ground balls so he can get on base consistently, rather than every once in a while hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And you see, regular season against the Yankees, he hit very well. But here in games 1 through 4, I mean, look at that, 105 batting average. That's because he was hitting so many balls in the air. And plus, he's faced some pretty good pitching.
Wells drops down on him and just misses with the 0-2 pitch.
That was a little nasty right there, because David Wells throws over the top, over the top, over the top, and then all of a sudden he drops down. You don't find the ball as quickly as you want. And I think Kenny didn't take that because he thought it was a ball. He took it because he couldn't hit it, and he might as well take a chance. I mean, and that's true. I mean, if you can't hit it, you might as well take it.
Jeter on to Martinez to retire Lofton, and Wells sets the Indians down 1-2-3 in the second. As the Yankees come up in the third, ball 1 to Tino Martinez. He was hit by a pitch in the first. Fastball high from Jarrett Wright, 2-0. Well, they took the ball away from Wright for game 5, but in short order they gave it back to him. O.J. couldn't get out of the second. 3-0. In there.
Jared Wright is very similar to Bartolo Colon, and that's why they started him in game 1. He has a very explosive fastball.
Come on back, Tino. That's strike 2.
Colon has a sinking fastball and a riding fastball. Jared Wright has some movement away and down from the left-handed hitter. He throws more of a hard sinker.
That'll make the seats.
Well, Joe Torre was happy that yesterday, all day in batting practice, Chris Chambliss and Martinez hit balls the other way. Just consistently hit his batting practice pitches the other way, and he did so in the game.
And now he's aboard with the walk.
And what that does, it does 2 things when you practice like that. It keeps you on the ball and keeps you from pulling off the pitches, and it also helps you to level out your swing.
In 2 innings plus, the Yankees have had 4 walks and 2 batters hit by pitches.
You talked yesterday about someone stepping up for the Yankees. I think so far that guy has been Paul O'Neill. Hit the home run last night, and he's had a couple of base hits and driven in a run today.
Strike 1 to Raines.
And what that actually does is it takes a little bit of the pressure off a lot of the other players and allows other people to be able to relax and do their thing.
Inside, 1-1.
I think Jared Wright may throw a little harder than Colon, but Colon has more movement.
Tap foul. Well, Colon was hitting around 96, sometimes 97 on the gun, and he's been known to hit triple digits if the gun is generous.
I'm not so much talking about just the speed that you record on the gun. I'm talking about once he releases the ball to the hitter. And his motion. makes him seem a little faster.
How quickly the ball gets on you.
Right.
That's outside. Jarrett Wright this year was 12-10. His ERA was 4.72. A year ago, he was 3-0 in the postseason, including the clinching victory over the Yankees in Game 5 of the Division Series here. He very nearly won Game 7 of the World Series for the Indians. Terrific outing and a no decision. His 2-2 pitch hits sharply to Wilson. Juggles it, throws to Vizquel, and all they can get is one.
We'll take another look at this. The ball was hit very sharply, and if he could have fielded it cleanly, I think they could have had a double play. But I think this ball jumps up on him at the last second a little bit, and he shows good hands by coming up with it. Yeah, see, that ball kind of jumped up on him. It actually hits him on the heel of the glove, but he has such soft hands. I mean, this is the key, having soft hands. Otherwise, that ball hits your heel of your glove, it would bounce away. See how it jumps up at him? But he's got nice soft hands. He's able to control it and still get the runner at second base.
So Raines becomes the runner at first, and it brings up Posada. Posada is from Puerto Rico, and the reason why we mention that is that Major League Baseball today announced that it will donate $1 million for disaster relief in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic in the aftermath of Hurricane George. The American Red Cross will administer the distribution of those funds. Posada and his teammate Bernie Williams from Puerto Rico, as are Sandy Alomar and Joey Cora of the Indians. 3 Dominicans here in the ballpark today, at least as ball players: Bartolo Colon and Enrique Wilson and Manny Ramirez. In center field, Lofton barely has to move. Raines back to first with 2 out.
Interesting how quick Lofton got in position to throw that ball when he was called for dropping one yesterday. Watch, this is the exact same motion he tried yesterday when he dropped it, and it was ruled no catch. This is exactly the same motion. He'll catch it off to the right side of his body. And watch, he'll catch it off to the right side of his body and bring it left. That's what he was trying to do yesterday.
Strike one to Brocious, who struck out his first time up.
That was a real big strikeout in this ball game because the bases were loaded and the Yankees had a chance to, sort of break this game open in the first inning again. And he chased a fastball over his head from O.J. O.J. pitched him very well.
The Yankees lead it 4-2 as they bat in the third. When a manager says to a ball player who's been benched for a while or maybe taken out of the starting rotation, "Stay ready, you never know what might happen," those are words to take literally. Here's Wright with the ball. It's only the third inning. His team is still very much in the game. Fouled away.
Well, Wright was upset about it, when they first told him that he wasn't going to start because, Jarrett remembers, hey, I pitched for you in the 7th game of the World Series last year, and I can't start the 5th game of a LCS. So I can understand his point, but he had been struggling, and Hargrove had to make a decision.
Wright did take the news hard, but true to his word, he was the first man out of Hargrove's bullpen. Andy Pettitte might be thinking, I was good enough to pitch Game 5 of the World Series. I was good enough to nearly win the Cy Young Award a couple of years ago. Am I good enough, at least right now, to start Game 7? Brocious hits it by the diving Fryman for a base hit. If there is a Game 7, Bartolo Colon is Cleveland's pitcher, but Joe Torre will have a decision to make. Pettit pitched well against Texas. Prior to that, he'd had several rocky regular season starts, and then the Indians knocked him all over the ballpark in Game 3. Then the next night, El Duque comes out and pitches brilliantly. He could go on 3 days rest with just about everybody else ready out of the bullpen if there is a Game 7. Torre is very loyal to Andy Pettit, but he may have a decision to make. Perhaps David Wells and David Cone can save him the trouble if they can win back-to-back. It'll be Cone against Nagy in Game 6 at Yankee Stadium Tuesday. Those are the matchups as of right now, with Game 7 for the Yanks up in the air. Pitch to Knobloch. Ball 2. Down and away, 3-0. David Wells hoping the Yankees can pad his 4-2 lead.
I don't think Joe Torre will have Chuck Knobloch hitting 3-0 in this situation.
A moot point. Up and in, ball 4. Bases loaded for Derek Jeter.
Well, he's having trouble with his control. He's just missing. I mean, the balls are moving out of the strike zone.
Wiley's wearing out a path from the dugout to the mound today, which gives us a chance to tell you that returning to NBC
on the Profiler season premiere, serial killer Jack will be caught, guaranteed. The season premiere, Profiler, NBC Saturday.
That's the Profiler next Saturday on NBC. Profiling Jared Wright, we might mention that he's the son of former big league left-hander Clyde Wright, who pitched for the Rangers, the Brewers, and the Angels, and in fact won 22 games for the Angels in 1970. Jeter takes a ball, but Clyde Wright was a very different sort of pitcher.
Well, he was left-handed first. That makes him different. All left-handers are different.
But he didn't throw nearly as hard as his son. He's getting himself into some deep trouble here.
Well, from the second pitch to Knobloch to now, it appears to me that he's aiming the ball instead of just throwing it. He was throwing the ball very well, I mean, and just throwing it towards the middle of the plate and getting movement. Now he seems like he's trying to spot the ball, and with that, you start to aim it a little bit.
That one's right in there, 2-1.
You just have to let it go, throw it at the middle with some movement.
Raines at third, Brocious at second, Knobloch at first. 2 out, top of the third. And the 2-1 to Jeter. Wilson comes up with it, shovels it to Vizquel, and they're out of the inning. The Yankees leave them loaded. It's still a 4-2 game. Vizquel, Fryman, and Ramirez for the Indians in the third. Alomar singled and stole a base his first time up. And takes a strike on the inside edge. He's now hitting .500 in this series on 9 of 18. And this one is by Brocious. Vizquel around first as Raines retrieves it.
Nice play there by Tim Raines to get in quickly and hold Vizquel to a single. And the one thing that Vizquel is doing is, compared to a lot of these other big hitters, he's not, watch this, a short swing, not a big swing. Look at that. He's just putting the bat on the ball and putting it in play, and that's why he's having a lot of success. Most pitchers will tell you they'd rather pitch to big swingers than to pitch to guys who are just pesky, because you can trick the big swingers, but the little guys and the pesky guys are just trying to put the ball in play with a shorter swing.
8 hits in his last 10 at-bats. When you play defense like he does and then throw in hitting like that, it's almost unfair. Off-speed pitch, and Fryman couldn't meet it. Jeff Newman is the coach at third. Al Bumbry at first on the coaching lines for the Indians. Pitch, and he quickly gets ahead 0-2.
Three for 4, 3 singles and a stolen base. The rest of the team, look at that, 1 for 26 hitting. So Vizquel has definitely been the hitting star for the end couple of days.
Inside 1-2. Wells was 18-4 for the season. Now 2-0 in the postseason. And 6-1 for his career in the playoffs and World Series. Chasing Vizquel back.
You know, it seems like a little thing, but I want to put more emphasis on that play that Tim Raines made, because if Vizquel's at second base now, Fryman might hit a ball to the right side, move him over, they can get a run without another base hit. But what he did is keep the double play in order. If Wells can get a ground ball now, they can erase Vizquel along with Fryman. What he's doing there is he's trying to make Vizquel stop. Vizquel is standing at first base. He's leaning, he's moving, he's trying to time David Wells. And if you can keep going without the pitcher stopping you, it's very easy to steal second base.
Now the 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. That's 4 strikeouts for David Wells.
This is just an overpowering fastball up in the zone, and with 2 strikes, Fryman can't lay off of it. Look at the movement on that fastball. That was a lot of movement there. Started in and moved away from the right-handed hitter.
And now Ramirez with Witten on deck. Manny had a 2-run homer off Wells in game 1. That ruined the shutout. If he does the same thing here, it'll hurt Wells and the Yankees much more.
Wells wanted that curveball there. Tim Wilkie says it was a little low, but he thought he got right on the knees. Beautiful break on that pitch. last couple of days, Ramirez has been having trouble with the fastball. That's what they've been getting him out with, the fastball above the belt. And they've been throwing it by him, middle of the plate in most of the time. See if he's a little late. He used a pretty heavy bat, so he's late on that fastball. And that comes after Wells had missed with a curveball. So you say, well, he's got to come with a fastball now. He should have been waiting for it.
Wells has pitched in 5 of baseball's last 6 postseasons with the Blue Jays, the Reds, the Orioles, and the Yankees. What a year for him if he winds up making it to the World Series and pitches at home in San Diego. That's where he's from. And the Padres, of course, lead the Braves 3-0 in the NLCS. They have him picked off on to second base, and Vizquel is gone.
Good job by David Wells. I said Vizquel was trying to get a lead and stop moving and not stop his movement towards second base, and Wells picks him off. Nice move there by Wells, and a nice play by Tino Martinez and Derek Jeter. This is not an easy play to complete if you're a first baseman. Now watch him step inside. See, he jumps way inside. That gives him a throwing lane. Jeter stands on the inside, and that makes that play work.
Now with 2 out and nobody on, Ramirez takes high, 2-1. Vizquel hasn't done much wrong in this series, but they pick him off here. Two and two. A moment ago, Ramirez was the tying run at the plate, not any longer.
And another good fastball from David Wells that Ramirez cannot catch up with.
Wells is very superstitious. He's aware that his one postseason loss in his entire career came on Friday the 13th, October 13th of 1995, when he was with the Reds. He was beaten by Greg Maddux and the Braves. The curveball sends Ramirez to the bench and sends us on to the 4th. Still 4-2, New York. Part of the Yankee order in the 4th. O'Neill, Williams, and Davis against Jarrett Wright. Ball 1 to Paul. The little things on which a ball game can turn. The bouncer that O'Neill hit in the first inning might turn out to be the single biggest pitch and play of the entire game. Potential double play that O.J., the starting pitcher, instinctively reached for and deflected the other way. It wound up trickling into the outfield for a hit. Had he let it go through, the sure-handed Vizquel would have turned it into a double play, and the Yankees would not have scored in the first. That would have ended the inning. Instead, they scored 3 times. O.J. took an early shower. Wright is in. This is the play we were talking about. A double play instead becomes first and third with 1 out. And this is his base hit later in the game that made the score 4-2. Foul back, 2-2. You know, it's easy to say that O.J. didn't have it, and he did have control problems, not making any excuses for him. But if that double play is made, the whole game could be different.
I mean, it's just difficult for a pitcher to relax in the first inning of a playoff game. If you can relax, you're always the guy that's ahead at the end of the first inning.
I was speaking figuratively when I said O.J. took an early shower. Apparently cleaning up is not his first priority here as he remains on the bench. Maybe he wasn't in there long enough to break much of a sweat. Count holds at 3-2.
And there you see Paul O'Neill, being a good hitter as he is, that was a very difficult pitch to handle, so he reaches out and spoils it. It's a 3-2 fastball that's sinking down and away. Watch the location. Look at that. And all he does is spoil it. A lot of hitters will swing and miss that pitch. That's a tough pitch.
to himself as the 3-2 comes home, and he fouls it back again. The internal dialogue, maybe it's a monologue, of Paul O'Neill would be very interesting if transcripts were available.
Well, we see a lot of players talking to themselves. A lot of times you're going through your fundamentals to get ready for the pitch. See the ball, see the ball, see the ball. Don't try to pull it. I mean, there are a lot of things. I used to have in my helmet, Bob, you know, I'd walk up there and say, see the ball before you stride. Let it go if it is outside. If it is a curve and should break down, jack up and hit it downtown. And there were a lot of, but I mean, it sounds like you know, but there are a lot of little things in that poem that are fundamentally correct as far as hitting is concerned.
Sexton stumbles after knocking it down. Wright covers, and they get the out. Put it in the book, 3-1. Nice play by Sexton.
This is an excellent play. What he does, look at why he uses two hands there. It bounces away, but he stays with it. And then he finds Wright, who gets there in plenty of time, and it's a nice play. His first priority is to keep it on the infield, which he does. He knocks it down. And you can see Jarrett Wright coming. And he gets there in time. Nice play by both Wright and Sexton.
Ball 1 to Williams, but I love the poetry, though.
Well, listen now. See the ball before you stride. That's the first lesson there. You make sure you recognize the pitch. See the ball. Make sure before you start after it. Let it go if it is outside. Don't chase pitches off the plate.
Another chance for Sexton. This time he keeps his footing and takes it himself.
Well, he's not swinging the bat very well in this series, but he's making the plays. Nice movement again.
The designated hitter, number 45.
And a couple of plays that maybe Jim Thome would not be able to make because he's got leg problems, and Thome's not moving as well right now as he normally does. So that's why Sexton is out in the field.
You know, I didn't realize you were part of that great tradition of poetry in baseball.
Yes. I just don't brag about it.
First one to Davis. And when the dust had lifted and men saw what had occurred,
see, there
was Blake safe at second and Flynn a hugging third. By Joe Morgan. On the corner, 1-1. Low and away, 2 balls and a strike to Chili Davis, who singled home 2 and then grounded into a remarkable double play started by Omar Vizquel as he barehanded the bounder and somehow began a 6-4-3. A drive to right. Ramirez turning to the track, to the wall. It's gone. New York.
Well, maybe Chili Davis is finally earning his stripes as a Yankee. This is hitting at its best. He is starting out over the plate to handle the ball that's away. The pitches are running away from him. And a good hitter doesn't look for the ball inside. He just reacts to the ball inside, and that's what he did there. As all of Wright's pitches run away from you if you're a left-handed hitter. But that pitch was moving in, and it was inside. All Chili did was react. He did not turn. He didn't do a lot of things. Just react to the pitch inside. You know, when they got Chili Davis, you know, they thought that he was going to be the RBI man and help him in the middle, and he would have been. but Chili Davis was injured, so he hasn't really contributed a lot to this Yankee success this year, and now he's getting an opportunity to show that, hey, he does deserve to be a Yankee, and he's going to be one for the next few years because he signed a long-term contract, but maybe now he will feel like he's part of this ball club.
At age 38, he had to bide his time, as you said, through an injury. Strawberry ahead of him, Raines ahead of him for a while, Shane Spencer a sensation for a month. Fryman picks it up at third, throws Martinez out. But when Chili Davis got his chance, he's come through for Joe Torre in this LCS. Yankees back up by 3.
You buy the document company Xerox. Keep the conversation going. Share the knowledge. And by Sun America, the retirement specialist.
For 70 years, Goodyear blimps have been hovering over special events. For Game 5, it's the Spirit of Akron carrying on that proud tradition. The Spirit is based in Suffield, Ohio, 50 miles south of Jacobs Field. Mark Whitten to start it in the Cleveland 4th. He struck out against Wells in the 1st. Tries to drop a bunt with Brocious deep, and it rolls foul.
You know, it's good to try to get yourself back on track if you're Tino Martinez, but I watched this last at bat, and it looks like he just made up his mind he's going to hit the other way. Watch how he guides the ball to over to the left side. That's not the Tino Martinez that drove in 123 runs. See, that's just guiding the ball. It's okay to get yourself back on track, but you still have to be aggressive. He's still going to have to use his hips and his legs and not just guide the ball.
Ball 1 to Whitten. When you look at the lineup for the Indians today in Game 5 of the LCS, it's interesting in that Whitten began the year in the Mexican League. Enrique Wilson, their starting catcher, second baseman rather, and Einar Diaz, their starting catcher, both were in Buffalo earlier in the year. As was Richie Sexson, their starting first baseman. And for part of the year, because of rehab assignments, Chad Ojay, today's starting pitcher, was also in AAA at Buffalo. 5 guys sent out there today by Mike Hargrove. He's part of the year out of the major leagues. Foul tip back into Posada's glove. And Whitten strikes out for the second time. That's 6 strikeouts for David Wells, and 3 in a row dating back to the 3rd. Baseball tonight, Game 4 of the NLCS on Fox. Denny Nagel's going to get the ball for Atlanta as they try to stay alive. Joey Hamilton scheduled to go for San Diego. We go to Yankee Stadium Tuesday for Game 6. Nagy against Cone. First one to Tony. Lined into right for a base hit.
If you watch a pitcher after a guy gets a base hit, you can learn a lot about a pitcher. David Wells was feeling like he was in the groove. Everything was working well. He tries to get this fastball in, but it doesn't get in enough. See, that's supposed to be in. He gets it too much of the plate, and Tomey rips it to right field. He made a little throw hop while he jumps on the mound. He makes a little jump out there and say, man, I almost got it where I wanted. But he was getting in such a groove that, you know, he didn't want to give Tomey that pitch to hit.
Sexson in a tailspin, just one of his last 23. Struck out to end the 1st.
And Bob, those names you mentioned about not being part of the Indians at the beginning and not people that they were counting on, it also points another fact as why they need justice in this lineup today. I mean, Sexson has really struggled, you know, the latter part of the season and into the playoffs.
The Indians have won 2 of the last 3 American League pennants. The bottom of their order today, Sexson, Diaz, and Wilson, not exactly household names. At least not outside their own households. 0-2. Sexson, of course, is a very highly regarded prospect. Hit .310 with 11 home runs in limited duty at the big league level this year.
Bob, what you see with a lot of hitters who come to the big leagues from the minor leagues and have success is that they're hitting the fastball and the curveball, because those are the two main pitches they see in the minor leagues. But the third pitch up here, that changeup, which is a different speed, that really hurts a lot of young hitters. I've seen that with Shane Spencer. When O.J. started throwing him changeups the other day, was the start of his slump, or mini slump, if you want to call it there.
Posada couldn't hold that one.
And the off-speed pitches here, I'm seeing that Saxon is chasing out of the strike zone, and then they're busting the fastball. Those are the things that keep you off balance. Because I watched Shane Spencer, and he was really right on the fastball, right on the curveball. And when O.J. started throwing him the changeups the other day, it seemed to change his approach to hitting. And that's what happens to a lot of hitters who come from the minor leagues to the big leagues.
The 1-2 pitch. Posada blocks it. And Tomey stays put at first.
Well, so far, I mean, these catchers have done a great job of blocking pitches that are in the dirt. And I mean, watch this ball. Watch how he gets an entire body in front of it. Look at that. He slides over to get his body in front of that. Even if he doesn't catch it, it's going to stay in front of him. That's a great move there by Posada.
Count now.
That was interesting there. David Wells was going to retire him with a changeup there. And what he did is he quickened everything so that he was jumping at Sexton to throw him off balance. Watch, he just jumps at him. He's trying to give him a different, see that? He just steps and throws the changeup. He wanted Sexton to think that that was a fastball because he was fast with everything, and he took a lot off the pitch. That was to be his out pitch right there.
Tomey's not going. One bouncer to Jeter. That's one. On to first. Double play. That finishes Cleveland in the fourth. Field, you know, Joe, between innings, I had a hot dog, which you have to do at this ballpark, not so much for the hot dog, but for the mustard. A little known fact outside Cleveland. This ballpark, for years, and even going back to the old stadium, featured the best mustard in baseball. Bertman's Ballpark mustard is a true delicacy. Even if you don't like hot dogs, you have to have it just for the mustard.
I'll try it later. I think the popcorn's pretty good here.
Here's Raines. A ball and a strike. I happen to have a hot dog right here for you.
That's all right. I'm trying to cut back.
Posada and Brocious will follow Raines in the fifth. Check swing foul, 1-2. It was 4-2 when Wright came into the game in the second. He threw one pitch in that inning and got Chili Davis to hit into a double play to end it. But in the fourth, Davis took him deep. Now Raines lifts one to left. Whitten over toward the line. It's out of play. So the homer by Chili Davis is the only run Jarrett Wright is allowed. Chili has 3 of the 5 RBIs as New York leads at 5-2. Called strike 3. Raines knew it. On October 24th, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame return to NBC as they face Army. The Irish scored a big win on the road yesterday against Arizona State behind 2 touchdowns from Autry Denson. Now one of college football's longest-standing rivalries is renewed when the Cadets visit South Bend. Army Notre Dame, October 24th on NBC. Posada has walked and flied to center. Throws that one by him, 1-1. lights are on at Jacobs Field, and virtually the entire field, except for patches of deep right center, in shadows now. Two and one. Beautiful ballpark that changed the fortunes of the Cleveland franchise and changed the entire feel of downtown Cleveland. Posada is dangerous. He had 17 home runs and then hit one in this playoff series, and now he's ahead on the count, 3-1.
Good movement on that fastball from right. Posada was geared for the fastball, but that one had good movement, and it moved away from him and stayed down.
And he walks it.
Well, he had not been throwing many breaking balls. He struck Raines out with one, and he ends up walking Posada with one. But he was coming with all hard stuff, the fastball. Everything's a fastball. And then he tries to throw him a 3-2 curveball, and he misses with it.
Here's Brocious, and Posada runs on the first pitch. Throw for Diaz.
Beautiful play there by Diaz. That was a high fastball way up and out of the zone. He caught it and got rid of the ball very quickly. Nice play. I don't know if this is supposed to be a hit and run or what, but you can see how quickly he gets rid of the ball. He moved his feet in good position, caught it high, and made a tough throw. Look at that. I mean, that's a tough play to make. And he throws it right on the money, and Vizquel applies the tag.
Brocious cuts and misses. Posada getting ready to go back to work behind the plate. Called strike, 1-2. Brocious struck out against OJ, singled against Wright. Fastball grounded toward Wilson. He makes a nice play, pops up and throws him out. The Indians trail by 3 in Game 5 of the ALCS. It was 50 years ago today, October 11th, 1948, Joe, that the Indians won their last World Series championship. They beat the Boston Braves 4-3 behind Bob Lemon that day, winning the World Series 4-2. They've been in the series 3 times since, 54, 95, 97, without winning it. Wells to Diaz. Ball 1 as we start the bottom of the 5th. Enrique Wilson and Kenny Lofton will follow. A bunt, and it's foul.
Nice try by Diaz, because he's trying to get something started here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And if you're going to bunt, you always want to make it perfect or let it go foul. Brocious sees it, but he's back so deep he wasn't going to be able to make a play on the ball, but the ball goes foul. You see all that side spin on it.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. A little bloop that lands in foul ground. You know, Joe, speaking of the fine Indian teams of the late 1940s and into the mid-50s, you could forgive a whole generation of Cleveland fans if they felt a special resentment toward New York. In the 6 seasons between 1951 and 1956, the Indians finished second with very good teams behind the Yankees 5 times, and the one time they beat the Yankees for the pennant, another New York team, the Giants, swept them in the World Series. So one way or another, New York seemed to do them in every year.
Those Yankees of old were just dominant. I mean, every Yankee you talk to that played years ago, they all have 7 World Series rings, 8. I don't know if Yogi has a whole room full of them.
He's in double figures.
Yeah.
Another foul ball by Diaz. Of course, the Indians of that period of time were just terrific. There's Larry Doby, first African-American player in the American League.
Right.
Recent Hall of Fame inductee.
That's his lovely wife on the right. He, the year 54, Larry Doby actually led the league in RBIs and home runs, but he wasn't the most valuable player. Yogi Berra was. It kind of reminds me of, you know, it was such a good team. They won 111 games that it's kind of like the Yankees maybe this year. A lot of good players on that ball club.
Al Rosen, Bobby Avila. What about the pitching staff? A little nubber, and that's foul. What a staff they had. Lemon, and Wynn, and Garcia, and of course Feller.
But it didn't faze the Giants.
Some of those Indians said in retrospect that winning the pennant the way they did over their nemesis, the Yankees, seemed like such an achievement that there might have been a bit of a letdown in the World Series. Of course, that's easy to say. Game 1 was close until Wirtz hit the drive to center that Mays made the memorable catch on, and then Dusty Rhodes had the pinch hit home run off Lemon. Things kind of unraveled from there. The 2-2 pitch. Another foul ball. Less small measure of revenge against New York. It was the Indians who sent the Yankees home, beating them in the division series. No matter what happens in this series, the Yankees have been tested, losing 2 of the first 3, hoping to hold this lead and take a 3-2 advantage back to New York for Tuesday night. Breaking ball, and again Diaz gets a piece of it.
"68 pitches for David Wells."
Finally, a bouncer to short. Jeter charges. And Diaz is gone. As we mentioned, we're back in the Bronx on Tuesday night, 8 Eastern time. David Cone pictured there, along with Kenny Lofton of the Indians. Cone will be the Yankee starter. He'll hook up again with Charles Nagy. Each was very effective. Each wound up with a no decision in Game 2, eventually won in extra innings by Cleveland. Enrique Wilson knocks one through the middle for a base hit.
Wilson has hit the ball hard twice. The other time he handcuffed Brocious at third, but he was thrown out by Brocious. This is a fastball that just grounds right back through the middle of the diamond. And it goes through into center field for a base hit.
Wilson Wilson is a switch hitter who is a much better hitter from the right side, and there's talk in the Indian organization of perhaps getting him to become exclusively a right-handed hitter. Lofton lined a homer over the 325 sign down the right field line in the first, and then grounded to short. Wilson at first with one out. Bottom of the fifth. Indians down by 3. Brocious in close at third. Wells to the plate. Lofton shortens up, takes a strike.
This is a hitting chart for Kenny Lofton. You see that he does pull the ball quite often, but he will go back through the middle and the other way on occasion. And he pulled it right down the line for his home run in the first inning.
One and one to him. Wells threw 8 complete games this year. 5 of them were shutouts. The way this one is going, even with the lead, very doubtful he'll be around at the end. This ball is well hit to right center field. It's hammered. Williams back along with O'Neill. It's taken on the track as Wilson retreats to first.
And I think the wind knocked that one down. The wind is blowing straight in, not hard, but straight in from right center field where he hit the baseball. See, the flag is blowing in. And he's kind of saying, I thought I hit that. A fastball out over the plate. And he hammers it to right center field. He thinks he got it. He's trying to follow the flight of the ball and watch Bernie Williams at the same time. He thought he hit it well, but the wind was blowing in at that time and it knocked it down.
And he thought he might have had his second of the game. Vizquel 2 for 2 today. 8 for his last 10 in the series. Now you saw Lofton watching that ball as he moves slowly toward first base. Players are often rightly criticized for doing that, but in this situation, remember, Wilson is on first ahead of him, and Wilson's going to have to wait between first and second to see if the ball is caught or not. So Lofton can't run up his bat. So he wasn't doing anything wrong in that case.
But he also knows that if it stays in the park, they're going to catch it. But he also thought that he may have hit it out. Now watch. So he thinks he got it right there. Joe Torre wasn't that upset, but he thought he hit that one out. I really think the wind hurt him a lot on that drive.
On the corner, 1-1. You know, Torre's demeanor is so calm and controlled, it's really spread to the entire ball club. Not just recently, but during his entire tenure. There are some colorful and volatile characters on the team. Less so now, maybe, than in '96 when they won the World Championship. But the basic demeanor of the team reflects that of Torre.
Well, that's the way a lot of good managers are. Your team sort of follows their lead.
Talk about a guy who sees the big picture. Looking at veteran players. Jeter, a young veteran. Martinez, Knobloch, Brocious. Vizquel is hit by the pitch. The fans boo, but obviously it's not intentional. And as long as Omar isn't badly hurt, they get the tying run to the plate.
Well, it gets him on his left hand. Fastball in. Gets him right on the back of his left hand. Watch, luckily he takes his hand off the bat. So he takes his hand off because if it pins it against the bat, that's how you get your hand broken. Well, David Wells is trying to come inside, but he definitely was not trying to hit Omar Vizquel. It hit him right on the back of his left hand.
So now it's Fryman, who's 1 for 2. Swings on the first one, pops it wide of first. Martinez over near the dugout, and it's on the dugout roof.
David Wells is also over there. David Wells was going to make sure if that ball stayed in play, someone was going to catch it. Watch him. He immediately takes off over there. Because I'm not sure that Posada saw it right away. But David Wells gets over there with Tino Martinez, and it hits on top of the dugout.
Wells had 2 strikes on Vizquel when he hit it. Giving the Indians an opportunity here with Wilson at second and Vizquel at first. 2 out of the 5th. And the 0-1 pitch. Line to left. Raines comes in and takes it. The Indians strand 2 and still trail by 3. Top of the 6th, top of the order for New York. Knobloch, Jeter, and O'Neill against Jarrett Wright. Ball 1. That is not a happy line for Chuck Knobloch. Fryman. Knobloch is retired again. NBC Saturday nights.
He's back. The man who can beat anyone returns with something missing. His mind.
What's your last name?
It changes every week. The Pretender season premiere NBC Saturday.
A missing mind.
Terrible thing to waste, huh?
No question. And who would know better than you and I? Or is it you and me? One and one to Jeter. The Yankees have managed to win, sweeping Texas, splitting the first 2 and leading in Game 5 against Cleveland without the usual production from the top of the order, Knobloch and Jeter. You saw the numbers in their last 2 at-bats.
And that's a direct reflection on the middle of the lineup. If your top of your order gets on and gives them the chance to drive in runs, puts the pitcher into a stretch, it gives them more confidence and it, gives them more chances to get base hits themselves.
Fastball, and he throws it right by Jeter upstairs.
That was the best fastball he's thrown, 97 miles an hour. With 2 strikes, this is just an unhittable pitch because it's up and out of the strike zone, and it also has a lot of flame behind it, 97 miles an hour. And look at that, 3 for 19 for Knobloch and 3 for 16 for Jeter. Just not the kind of production that the Yankees are used to having from the top of the order.
A strike to O'Neill. In fairness to Knobloch, today he's been hit by a pitch and walked twice before grounding out in this inning.
That's true, and that helps you. A walk in a lot of cases is just as good as a base hit.
Today, Jeter is 0 for 3 with a sacrifice, and he struck out twice.
funny thing about hitters, you can go out and struggle as a lot of the Yankee players are doing now, and if they're fortunate enough to beat the Indians and get into the World Series, all of a sudden they can start swinging the bat much better against, different types of pitching. So, I mean, it's just because you're struggling now doesn't mean that you're going to continue to struggle if you get into the World Series.
Seems like O'Neill seldom struggles. 2 for 3 today. And even the one time he was retired, he was robbed of a hit on a nice play by Sexton behind the bag at first. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Called strike.
Paul O'Neill knows the strike zone very well, and this is a fastball down, and he thought it was away as well as down. The fans are getting excited here.
A bouncer foul.
And we've seen him do this a lot, just spoil pitches with 2 strikes.
Continuing on your point about turning everything around once you wipe the slate clean for a new series. In a full baseball season, 3, 5, 7 games, it's nothing. It folds into the story of the season. But it can be an entire series. In round 1, be as few as 3 games. That looks like your entire series work. It stands out more. And now, O'Neill works the walk.
Yeah, but Jared Wright wanted that pitch. Take a look. There's a breaking ball. Nice breaking ball on the outside corner. One that's low. Then he goes with the sinker. Another sinker right out on the outside corner. Fastball. And here's a fastball in that he thought was a strike, but looked like it might have been low. Jared Wright wanted that pitch anyway.
It's only in the postseason where the handful of at-bats that comprise 2 or 3 games worth of work can be interpreted as a slump, but everything is magnified. Bernie Williams, league batting champion, sub 200 in the playoffs.
But Bob, those points you made are important, but that's why you have to be able to turn up the intensity and your focus during the playoffs. Everything is going to be tougher. You have to focus more. That's something that I really learned myself, because my first couple of series I was just playing, and then you have to learn to focus.
Bernie Williams drives one toward the gap in left center field. Witten makes the catch. A little shaky trying to track that one down. But he puts it away, and it remains 5-2. So who do you think, Joe, is at the controls of the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron for Game 5?
Does his first name start with, say, Ken?
No.
No, I have no idea.
Who are you thinking? Ken who?
I won't say.
Well, you'll have to tell me later. No, this pilot's name, no joke, is Patrick Henry.
Fitz.
In the bottom of the 6th, Wells will face Ramirez, Witten, and Tomey.
Good changeup from Wells. I mean, he has kept Ramirez completely off balance. He's thrown a lot of fastballs by him and then finished him off with curveballs. And now he starts him with a changeup. Just the opposite of how he's pitched him the first couple of at-bats. He's gone after him with a fastball first pitch. The Indians are going to have to do something here just to make a dent. You don't have to get 3 back, but you have to start trying to work your way back.
A fastball and a check swing foul. Here's the scouting report on Manny Ramirez.
Well, he's a very smart hitter. He's at great balance. I think that's the key to his success. And he has powers to all fields. He is a little vulnerable to the fastball inside, especially from the right-handed pitchers. But he will usually adjust, look for a pitch inside, and maybe drive it someplace. Good hitter, smart hitter.
Wells is ahead of him 0-2. And finishes him off with the curveball. Posada has to throw to first to retire him. In contrast to the first inning when he struggled with his command, Wells has now thrown a first pitch strike to 12 of the last 15 hitters he's faced, including Ramirez.
And it may have looked like he didn't have as good a stuff today as he had in New York, but that wasn't the case. It was just a matter of getting ahead, and he wasn't locating as well as he was in New York.
Ball 1 to Witten. Wells has now struck out 7, including Witten twice.
Well, he's been able to get him with the off-speed pitches, breaking balls and changeups.
Fastball for a strike. Witten had the double and the homer, long homer in Game 3. Hargrove said he had to think long and hard about not playing him in Game 4, but he went with Giles against the right-hander. Witten back in for Game 5. 1-2.
And you see he's got Witten looking for something now. You see when he shook off there, Witten thought he was going to the breaking ball, which he's been throwing him a lot of. Comes back with a fastball. So he's also locating and outsmarting a lot of these hitters as well. He's changing his pattern as the game goes along.
Witten wouldn't bite. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
But on that pitch, Posada pounded his glove on the ground, meaning I want you to bounce this curveball to see if we can get Witten to swing at it. Now watch him put his glove on the ground right there. That means I want this pitch down on the ground, and that's where it is. I don't think he wanted it that far out in front, but he wanted to make sure he didn't hang an 0-2 breaking ball.
Another breaking ball, and this time Witten fans. He struck out all 3 times against Wells, and that's 8 overall for the Yankee starter.
Now, this is just another magnificent pitch. I mean, that is just you can't say that this is Witten. I mean, he has made great pitches on Witten, and I mean, and this just follows that pattern. I mean, that's a great curveball right on the outside corner, diving down. I mean, not a lot you can do with it. You may have been able to foul it, but you could not put it in play.
Tommy has walked and singled. A ball high. Wells, being the kind of guy he is, if there is a Game 7, he won't start it on 2 days rest. But I guarantee you he'll tell Joe Torre, you want an inning or 2? You want me to get a hitter? I'll be ready. Here's a drive to deep right. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run! Of this series, all off left-handed pitching.
Well, Wells got behind him 2-0, and with a 3-run lead, he was going to challenge him, and Tommy knew that, and Tommy's able to get a fastball and turn on it.
A towering blast to right makes it 5-3 New York. Sexton lifts one to shallow right. Now block out. O'Neill in. O'Neill for the catch. But Tommy's 5th home run of the playoffs It's official now. Makes it 5-3. Chili Davis in the New York 7th. He's got 3 RBIs today on a 2-run single and a solo home run. Fouled off, 1-1.
When you hear the term professional hitter, that fits Chili Davis very well. He has grown into a guy that just knows the strike zone. He knows his weaknesses. He knows his strengths. He knows where he should swing his pitches and when to take them. He doesn't handle a high fastball very well. That's probably the only weakness that he has. But he's aware of that. So he lays off of it.
Paul Shuey unscored upon in the postseason in the Cleveland pen. Wright's 2-1 pitch is in there.
Nice fastball there from Jared Wright. Went up the ladder. He didn't get him to chase, so he came back down and in.
Fouled away. Martinez in the background waiting on deck. And Tim Raines will follow him. Down goes Chili Davis.
I want to take you back to the home run on the Jim Thome hit. Now watch how he clears his hips out of the way, and that allows him to really swing the bat as hard as he wants. Look at that. Hips out of the way. I mean, that is an old-time pull hitter. Now watch him. He's maybe a little Carlton Fisk, but he just says, I know it's a home run. If it stays fair, is it going to hook or not? And our shadow can show you that it does not hook. That is a big-time home run. I appreciated it, but I tell you what, David Wells even appreciated it. He says, wow.
But unlike Carlton Fisk, he wasn't waving. He was just watching.
Yeah, he was watching. He knew that that was a home run. It's just a matter of whether it was fair or foul. But I mean, I like David Wells. He can appreciate that. He said, I didn't throw up a little one.
That round goes to Thome over Wells. Martinez 0 for 1 officially. He's been hit by a pitch, walked, and grounded to third.
Bob, I think you made a very good point of saying that that was a third home run he's hit off left-handed pitching. Remember, 2 years ago, he wasn't even playing against left-handed pitchers in the playoffs.
Well, Martinez has only 1 hit in this series, but he's been on base 3 times in this game.
Well, what that probably says is he's seeing the ball better, so he's laying off of pitches out of the strike zone.
As if baseball fans need to be reminded, there's baseball tonight. That's over on Fox. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly with the call. 7:30 Eastern Time. The Padres going for the sweep. Meanwhile, we'll take tomorrow off. Game 6, Tuesday night at Yankee Stadium, 8 Eastern Time. Nagy for the Indians, Cone for the Yanks. A strike to Raines, who's 0 for 3, but his first inning ground out drove home a run. A bouncer grabbed by Sexton. Vizquel for one. Sexton retreats to the bag. And it's a 3-6-3 double play. Stretch time in Cleveland. Tribe down by 2. Sun setting over Cleveland as we move to the bottom half of the 7th. Wells has been in there all the way, leading 5-3. Chad O.J. knocked out in the 2nd for Cleveland, replaced by Jarrett Wright, who's been able to do out of the bullpen what he couldn't do in 2 games as a starter in this postseason, pitch effectively for Cleveland. New left fielder Chad Curtis. Tim Raines made the last out, hitting into a double play in the top half of the 7th. And now he's replaced in left field and in the 7th spot on the batting order by Chad Curtis. Diaz, the catcher, takes ball 1. Jeff Nelson in the bullpen. Torrey and Stottlemyre, of course, have Mariano Rivera in mind for the 9th. A liner by Diaz. On the move is Williams to make the catch.
Diaz doesn't have a lot to show for his work today, but he has really battled Wells and made him throw a lot of pitches, and then he hits this one hard and right to Bernie Williams.
The second baseman, Enrique Wilson, now. Seems perplexed by strike 1 from Wells.
Wells had started him off with a fastball the first pitch every other at bat, and he hit the first pitch.
Outside, 1-1. Wilson hit .322 in 90 big league at-bats this year. .373 right-handed, .256 left-handed. The 1-1 pitch.
Well, in game 1, he had 20 of 31 first pitch strikes to batters, 17 of 27 today. But that's something that after the first inning, he started to get his rhythm, and he really picked it up after that.
And the 1-2. Wilson lines it foul. Another 1-2 pitch. Off-speed breaking ball, and down goes Wilson, becoming the 9th strikeout victim for David Wells.
And that curveball is just perfect. There's a curveball for a strike. Fastball away, and here's another fastball away that he fouls, and he jams him with a fastball. Then he comes back with just a straight overhand curveball, and the bottom falls out of that curveball. And the thing I like about it is it's almost a perfect speed for a curveball, in that if it doesn't get you with the big break, it'll get you with the change of speed off the fastball. So just gets you in 2 ways. He has almost a perfect speed for it.
Now Lofton homered, grounded out, and thought he had a second homer when he flied to the track in right center in the 5th.
Scott Brocious running in, not going to let him bunt in this situation. He starts right there, but he moves in as the pitch approaches the plate.
Strike on Wells' 100th pitch of the game.
Well, he hasn't lofted a lot of curveballs, but I mean, so it buckles his knees. Watch his, look at that. He thinks it's going to be inside. The ball breaks sharply over the plate. I mean, that's just a beautiful curveball he's throwing. He's got great control of it.
Now he drops down and strikes him out. 2 in the inning. 10 in the game for Wells. 5-3 New York.
3 home runs have been on the same pitch. Fastball inside. That's Lofton in the first inning. And watch Chili Davis. Fastball in. And he hits his out. And finally, Jim Thome hits a monster blast on a fastball in. That's why you stay out of certain zones with certain hitters.
We go to the 8th, and Jarrett Wright has done a couple of things in this ball game already. He's kept the Indians in it, and I'm sure he's done a lot to restore his own confidence and his manager's confidence in it.
Well, he and OJ just really reversed roles. OJ picked him up in the first game of this series and pitched well. Now he's picking OJ up and pitched very well.
If the Indians make the World Series, Hargrove might give the ball to Wright again at some point. If this series gets to a game 7, just about everybody's available out of the bullpen. Who knows? Wright might face a couple of hitters in that situation. Speaking of the bullpen, Shuey sits down. Steve Reed now the right-hander throwing, along with Assenmacher, the lefty.
And it's just at the point it seems like Jarrett may be running out of gas. He falls behind 3-0. Good pitch.
Three and 1 to Posada, who's walked twice and flied to center. He's walked 3 times.
The third baseman, number 18.
The next 3 hitters are all right-handed: Brocious, Knobloch, Jeter. Wiley was checking to see if Reed was ready. Assenmacher also throwing. Usually when they want to make a change, it's Hargrove who goes to the mound.
Wiley doesn't have his mic on, but I was reading his lips. He's saying you're releasing the fastball too high, and get the fastball up, you need to get it down.
When it's time for the hook, it's Hargrove. When it's advice and counsel, it's Wiley. So Wright stays in. The pitch to Brocious. Brocious sacrificed 8 times this year, hitting at the bottom of the order. He squares, he bunts. Wright's play is to first, and in scoring position is Posada. The Yankees continue to play for the single run when the situation calls for it.
Well, a lot of times, you know, during the season, you're on the road. You do not play for one more run. You try to break the game open, so you might see him try to hit and run in that situation instead of trying to get this extra run. But this is not the regular season. You only have a short series. You've got to do as much as you can to give yourself a cushion. So a good bunt there by Brocious.
Here's Knobloch, officially 0 for 1. He's walked twice and been hit by a pitch.
And he scored 2 runs in this ball game by getting on base.
Ball strike.
There's Charles Davis. They call him Chili. Sitting next to Andy Pettit. Quietly waiting his turn at bat.
Right 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball down. Knobloch overall in the postseason against Texas and Cleveland is 4 for 31.
But you brought up a good point earlier. You have to also factor in his bases on balls hit by pitches and see what his on base percentage is. That tells you whether he's doing the job at all or not.
Just off the inside corner, 2-1.
Jared Wright has a moving fastball. It sinks in on the right-handed hitters. This one starts on the inside part of the plate and sinks in off the plate. Right here, it's a strike about halfway there, and then by the time it gets to the plate, it's moved off the plate inside.
And the 2-1.
There's a breaking ball that starts behind him and just kind of hangs back there. So starts right over his head and doesn't break over the plate. So Knobloch ducks it. It's a curveball that gets the Little Leaguers in trouble. They duck right into it.
The 3-1. Well, to answer your earlier question, Joe, in the first 7 playoff games for Knobloch, he had only 1 walk. But today, he's walked 3 times and also been hit by a pitch. So without a hit, he's been on base plenty today. That finishes right. And we're back after this.
They are just people. Normal in every way but one. They expect more from a truck than 99% of the world. We call them the 1%ers. With their demanding standards in mind, we introduced the all-new GMC Sierra. The first half-ton pickup with 4-wheel anti-lock disc brakes and our largest cab ever. 1%ers.
Championship Series is brought to you by Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. We measure success one investor at a time. By Buick and your local Buick dealers. Isn't it time for a real car? And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You either have it in you or you don't. Life is a sport. Drink it up.
Chuck Knobloch has been a frequent visitor to Jose Cardinal at first. Let's listen to their conversation.
Talk to me, baby. Getting a little frio now.
Yeah, I had to put sleeves on. Hanging slider, man. Hanging slider first pitch. That's all right. I messed up last time. Got 1-0. I should have just made him throw a strike, you know? He's got to come to me 3 times. I might should have just let him throw me a strike. Went ahead and tried to get it going, you know?
And to translate that in baseball language, Cardinal said it's got a little cold out here, and then he says, well, last time I tried to get it going, so I swung at the 1-0 pitch. This time I took a hanging slider, meaning I should have took the other one and swung at this one.
Jeter swings at the first one from Steve Reed just into the game and fouls it back.
Steve Reed very tough on right-handed hitters. Drops down and throws a little sidearm breaking ball.
This is bounced slowly toward Vizquel on the run. He gets Jeter by a step or maybe half a step at first. The runners move up to second and third.
One thing you notice about Vizquel, he never overpowers the runner. He always just gets him at first base. And watch this, he always just gets him. He always has it timed so that no matter what happens, he always gets the runner at first. Doesn't have one of those cannon arms, but he always gets you at first.
Reed was brought in to face one man, the right-handed hitting Jeter. Now they'll go to Assenmacher to try to get O'Neill. Here comes Paul. Following the game, it's Dateline Sunday as a girl fights for her life in a raging California river. Then at 9, the movie event of October, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, a world premiere tonight on NBC.
There you see the numbers for Paul Assenmacher. 2 strikeouts in 1 inning pitch.
The Yankees actually have been out-hit by the Indians 7-6. And New York doesn't have a hit since the 4th. But Cleveland pitchers have walked 10 and hit 2. O'Neill swings on the first one. It takes a very tricky hop, but Wilson stays with it, averting disaster, and it remains a 2-run game as the Indians come up in the 8th. The Yankees have led all the way since scoring 3 in the top of the first, but they've never been able to put Cleveland away as they've stranded 10. Only 6 hits, but a dozen have reached by other means. 10 walks, 2 Yankees hit by pitches. Wells works into the 8th. Facing Vizquel, 2 for 2 and hit by a pitch. Strike 1. Fouled off, 0-2. This better be the inning for the Indians. They're facing the prospect of Rivera in the 9th. And then possibly down 3 games to 2, David Cone on his home turf at Yankee Stadium on Tuesday night. The next 4 hitters, Fryman, Ramirez, Witten, Tomey, all home run threats. There's New York's Game 6 starter. Vizquel fouls it back into Posada's glove for the 11th strikeout, put in the book tonight by David Wells.
Well, as usual, David Wells getting out front. Fastball for a strike. Fastball out of play. And a sinking fastball. And that retires. David Wells is out there shaking his head. He's kind of like, yeah, but he's saying, man, I just struck somebody out. See, he's trying to talk Joe out of it. He said, let me have one more batter.
Well, Fryman's a right-handed hitter, as is Ramirez, and then Witten a switch hitter.
Well, has he called? I don't think so. He's still talking. Yeah, I guess he has made the call. Great job by David Wells.
He leaves, having struck out 5 of the last 8 hitters he faced. Free-spirited David Wells acknowledges whatever reaction he received from the Cleveland fans. We know it's an appreciative reaction moments ago as he enters the Yankee dugout. After he threw his perfect game against the Twins in May, Mayor Giuliani offered him the key to the city. Wells said, I'll take it, but you're making a mistake. There are too many doors I'd like to open.
I tell you what, he's a horse, and they've been riding him, but I mean, he has just been unbelievable.
Fryman takes a ball from Nelson. Billy Crystal was at that perfect game on May 17th, thrown by Wells. He walked into the Yankee clubhouse after the game, looked around and said, "I got here late. What happened?" 2-0.
And I think if you're the Indians and with Jeff Nelson just coming in out of the bullpen, 2-0, I think you have to take the pitch. There's Billy Crystal.
Big time Yankee fan. Wasn't just at the stadium. He goes on the road. Nelson comes in and hits Fryman with a pitch. Some fans boo because it's just expected of them. But this is good news. They get the tying run to the plate and Fryman's not hurt.
Well, 2-0 fastball. The first two ran in. This one really runs in. And I think part of it is because I think he gets hit a little bit because he was taking 2-0 anyway, and he's really not prepared to hit. He was going to take the pitch, and sometimes you just relax a little too much when you're going to take a 2-0 pitch. You know you're not going to swing. Wells not too happy. He knows that now the tying run comes to the plate.
And that tying run is Manny Ramirez.
And Ramirez is 3 for 12 against Jeff Nelson with a home run.
Remember, now that you have the right-hander Nelson in, and quite possibly Rivera in the ninth, David Justice is on the Cleveland bench.
And also Brian Giles. And Jeff Branson if they wanted to use him.
That's ball one.
That was a smart pitch there. He's missed with the 3 fastballs he had thrown to Fryman. So he comes back to change and throw a slider.
The 1-0 pitch. Swerves outside. Did Torrey do the right thing in removing Wells?
Well, David Wells doesn't think so, and I thought Wells was still throwing well, but I understand what Torrey was trying to accomplish. I would have left him in, but that's not my decision. Torrey wanted Nelson to face these 2 right-handed hitters.
Ramirez hits it softly in the left, and Curtis can't get there. He was playing deep, and it drops in front of him.
Well, that's a smart play by Curtis. I mean, he could not catch it. If he would have tried to dive, the ball could have gotten past him, and then the tying run would have been in scoring position. It's a breaking ball from Nelson, and he hits it off the end of the bat. He doesn't get a lot of it, and the ball, you can see the ball's going to land a good 10 feet in front of him, and there was no way for him to make that catch, but he played it properly by stopping and just holding to a single.
Now Witten is a switch hitter. He's regarded as a more dangerous hitter left-handed, despite the home run and double he had from the right side the other night. And Nelson's done. Nighttime view from the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron, thanks to pilot Patrick Henry and company.
Bob, I want to take it one step further when we're talking about whether I would have taken David Wells out. David was throwing very well. He had struck out the last 3 hitters he had faced. But this is what Joe Torre did during the season, and guys pitched well for him. They came through for him. You know, in this situation in the past, Jeff Nelson has been able to come in and get the 2 right-handed hitters out for him, and that's all he's wanted. And that's what he wanted today, but he hit one and the other hit the ball off the end of the bat, so it hasn't worked out. But I understand what Joe Torre was doing. And just because I wouldn't take him out doesn't mean he shouldn't take him out.
And we can understand what Joe is doing here. Game 5 of the playoffs, he's not waiting for the 9th for Rivera. Brings him in with 1 out in the 8th. Tomorrow is an off day. If he completes this game, he can work in Game 6 as well.
Well, normally, you know, Rivera comes in and he's bringing nothing but good fastballs, and that's probably why Witten has had trouble with him catching up with that 95-mile-an-hour fastball like that. and in that spot. Fastball up and in. That's still the toughest pitch in the world to hit if you throw it 95 miles an hour and above.
Rivera struck Witten out last night. Inside to him. Mark is 0 for 5 lifetime against Rivera.
Well, that was a cut fastball. The first one was just a straight, hard fastball. That was the cut fastball, hoping he could get Witten to swing at it off the plate inside.
Two and one. Witten struck out all 3 times against David Wells.
Well, here's the difference between Rivera and a lot of other relievers. Right now, he's behind the count 2-1, but he really isn't. He has a good enough fastball he can go right after him.
Fouled off.
And you can see he's still late, knowing that the fastball was coming.
Witten, as he has proven here in Cleveland, is still a dangerous hitter, but the scouting report on him is that he's lost bat speed.
But the overpowering fastball does bother him, but it bothers most people.
That's why it's overpowering, I guess. The 2-2. A little bouncer. There's one. Jeter turns it. Double play. As important a pitch and play as we've seen in this series. Still 5-3 New York.
And this is one of the reasons you win 114 games, being able to make plays under pressure. And watch what Chuck Knobloch does here. He charges the ball very quickly, gets it. The toss is a little high, but he gets it to Jeter very quickly, and Jeter fires to first, and a perfect turn. And the bench knows, I mean, that's the ball game as far as they're concerned. They say now we can give it to Rivera with the bases empty in the 9th and at least a 2-run lead, and that's what we want. Nice turn by Jeter and Knobloch.
Knobloch and Jeter proving you don't have to hit to contribute, especially when you're a middle infielder.
That's why middle infielders' batting averages and the other things they do sometimes are overrated. Your defense is what's important.
Paul Shuey, the new pitcher. Very effective in the postseason. 5-4, ERA exactly 3 in the regular year. Called strike. For years around baseball, you've heard it said of a certain pitcher, a guy like Shuey, that he has nasty stuff. Well, according to Peter Gammons in the Boston Globe, the new expression is filthy stuff. Stuff that's so good it goes beyond nasty. According to Peter, people say of Shuey, he's got filthy stuff.
Okay.
I'm just passing on the info. The 1-2. Struck him out with some filthy stuff.
I'm just trying not to ignore you.
Certainly appreciate that. Looking for friends anywhere I can find them.
Well, Shuey makes quick work. Fastball in. This is a fastball inside that moves back over the inside corner. He throws a slider down and in. He comes right back with a splitter, and that's it. Filthy stuff, huh? I must admit, I like nasty better.
Chili Davis slices one down the left field line and out of play.
You got to remember, I'm from the old school, and it was always nasty. You know, so it's hard for me to get into these new words.
No matter what terminology you use, nobody has scored on Shuey in the postseason.
And he's got very good movement on his fastball and his splitter.
0-2 to Chili, who's 2 for 4.
Well, if you're going to pitch to Chili Davis, get him out, you try to throw him high fastballs. He fouled one off. He thought this one was high, so he took it. And a strike 2.
Chile has 3 runs driven home tonight, a 2-run single in the first, a solo homer in the fourth. Hargrove's team had a great chance in the 8th. Witten's double play ended the threat. Shuey trying to keep it close and give his mates a chance in the bottom of the 9th. A bouncer that comes up for Wilson. 2 gone in the New York 9th.
Mike Hargrove trying to figure out what he's going to do in the 9th if everything stays the same. He will have the bottom of his order up. After Jim Thome, he'll have Richie Sexson and Diaz as the listed hitters.
A ball to Martinez, but as you mentioned in the last inning, Joe, Hargrove has 2 left-handed bats, dangerous bats, and Giles and Justice still available off the bench.
And Branson's a pretty good hitter also.
2-0.
You see Jeff Branson, Giles, and Justice, you said, from the left side. Joey Cora, of course, is a switch hitter. You're not going to send too many right-handed hitters up there against Rivera unless you have to.
Breaking ball low. Jets didn't do too well today in St. Louis. They lose to the Rams 30-10.
3-0.
Martinez, slumping, has nonetheless been on base 4 times today. 3 walks and hit by a pitch. Exactly the same thing is true of Chuck Knobloch. Knobloch and Martinez are both 0 for 1 with 3 walks and hit by a pitch once. Now Chad Curtis bats for the first time tonight. He replaced Tim Raines in left field in the 7th inning. Cuts and misses. In mid-July, Curtis signed a contract extension. Maybe just coincidence, but since then, his figures have fallen off. Signed a 3-year deal. One on, 2 out. And strike 2 to Curtis, who was a high school teammate of the Yankees' Shane Spencer and a college teammate at Grand Canyon College of the Angels' Jim Edmonds.
Well, I don't know much about him personality-wise, but he plays hard, and I think that might be just a coincidence, but he does play hard.
Shuey puts him away on 3 pitches. I guarantee you Curtis thinks that was filthy. On to the bottom of the 9th. Reminder, following the game, Dateline Sunday, and then Crime and Punishment, which is not Law and Order or Homicide on NBC. In this case, it's Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. I wonder if he anticipated movies and television when he was writing his classic. He wasn't around for rewrite on the screenplay. Thome starts it in the 9th. Giles is in the on-deck circle. Rivera is on the hill. Ball 1.
There's Giles in the on-deck circle.
Inside, 2-0. Thome takes a strike. Against Wells, singled and homered. pops it up. It looks like it'll stay in. Brocious calls Posada off. 1 out in the Cleveland ninth.
Well, this ball was popped so high, you hear Brocious, you can see him, I got it. But he seems to be still having trouble with it all the time. And he finally makes a basket catch. Not what he really wanted. You see him kind of relax right there. And he didn't do that intentionally. It just happened that way.
Now Brian Giles will hit for Sexton, and as you see, David Justice is on deck to bat for Diaz. First pitch, ball 1. For the sake of argument, if the Indians scored 2 here and send this game to extra innings, and if in the process Justice hits for Diaz, as apparently he will, I don't know if Alomar can catch.
Well, I think he would be able to catch. I think he just ran out of toughness yesterday, Bob. I mean, he has just been toughing it out every day for the last week or 2.
Broken bat roller. Knobloch. The Yankees are 1 out away from taking a 3-2 advantage back to New York. But that 1 out is represented now by David Justice.
And I think the fact that tomorrow was an off day, we're going to give him today and tomorrow and hope that he'd be ready for Game 6. And if there is a Game 7, he would be in better shape. I think it's a pretty wise move. Because half of Sandy Alomar was not contributing a lot to this ball club, so maybe you can get him up to 75% with 2 days off.
Rivera to Justice. Ball 1. Count evens at 1-1. .95 on the gun. Ball 2 on the count. That's Coach Johnny Gorel alongside Mike Hargrove. Low, 3 balls and a strike. Enrique Wilson is the next scheduled hitter, and he is in the on-deck circle. Full count. Rivera likes to work quickly. Justice slows him down a bit by backing out. Now back in the box. And the 3-2 pitch. Walked him. Again, the Indians will bring the tying run to the plate.
You mentioned that Wilson was actually a better hitter from the right side, so he's going to have to move over to the left side now. He was a natural right-handed hitter.
He hit 2 home runs in 90 big league at-bats this year, both of them right-handed. That's a strike. One of them was a grand slam off the Yankees' Andy Pettitte.
Now there you see his numbers, 244 from the left side with no home runs.
Quickly 0-2. Lofton would be next if Wilson can prolong this 9th inning. But Rivera shuts him down. The Yankees win Game 5. They take a 3-2 lead back to the Bronx, and they'll ask David Cone to finish the Indians and win the pennant for them on Tuesday. Charles Nagy will try to send it to a Game 7 for Cleveland.
Well, last night's ball game was a real big ball game, and they were able to hold on and win that game, and then David Wells gave them what he's been giving them.
The PA plays the Beach Boys' Don't Worry Baby, but the Indians have something to worry about now. The Chevrolet player of the game is winning pitcher David Wells as we go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. How concerned were you in the first inning there, David, when you were struggling just a little bit?
Well, you know, I was a little rattled because I was, I was in a different frame of mind going out there and warming up and just hearing a lot of negative stuff out there, you know. I felt good going in, but when people start talking about your mom and giving them really...
Who was talking about your mom?
Fans out there, and that really bothered me. Normally stuff like that doesn't bother me, but, you know, I just, I don't appreciate that kind of stuff, and I think Cleveland fans, the real fans know who they are, and the ones who aren't, I think they're, you know, I don't want to say it on TV, but piece of crap in my mind.
Is that why the gesture came from you as you left the game?
No, you know, I got an ovation from some of the fans, and I think the real fans out here that appreciate good pitching and a good game understand it, and you know, I just don't appreciate stuff like that. So I just, you know, I gave them what, you know, I went out there and I struggled at first and I came to my own.
And then you didn't want to come out, did you?
No, I didn't. But I appreciate the fans who support a good game of baseball.
Last question. Would you be available if there is a Game 7?
I'll figure something out. I'll try, believe you me. But, you know, I don't think we need it. Coney is, he's been our savior all year round. So I think that come Tuesday, everything will be just fine.
David, congratulations. We appreciate you coming back out.
Thank you.
All right, back upstairs to you, Bob.
Jim, thanks very much. Again, the final score. The Yankees win it 5-3. They scored 3 runs in the top of the first. The Indians never caught him, but they were in the game the whole time, constantly threatening, bringing the tying run to the plate on several occasions. So we'll be at Yankee Stadium on Tuesday at 8 Eastern for Game 6 of the American League Championship Series. Next, stay tuned for Dateline Sunday as a girl fights for her life in a raging California river. Then the movie event of October, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, a world premiere, tonight on NBC. For Joe Morgan, Keith Olbermann, and Jim Gray, I'm Bob Costas. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you Tuesday night for Game 6. For now, so long from Cleveland.